Here's how I know for a fact that with enough time, you will have another chance with your ex. Hey, it's Coach Benny, and I help people get their exes back. And before I did this, I was a dating coach for 5 years where I had to pay attention to how attraction works. And I used that experience to help you get your ex back. Now, one thing that's for certain about attraction is that it starts off in these little ways. A lot of times it's sub-communicated to another person, and it's done very patiently and very slowly in many cases. I mean, think back to a time where you tried too hard and you went in too direct and too fast. It usually whacks out the other person, and that interaction doesn't go the way that you want it to go. So there's a certain patience to attracting somebody that we can all get in touch with. But a lot of times, because attraction happens in these small little windows and sub-communicated to the other person, because you can't just walk up to somebody and be like, hey, I'm awesome. I make this much money and I've done this before, like rattle off your resume and stuff. And ladies watching this, guys that do that on dates, like you practically hate the guy at the end of it, right? Because, outward bragging is not synonymous with internalized principle and character and actually being that guy that would never otherwise have to say it, right? So when we're working with attraction, we do it in these subtle ways. Now, when you think about getting back with your ex, it's not going to be this thing where you break down crying, saying that you miss them and that you want to get back together and that everything is instantly back on. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes it does in early breakups where you're not really meaning to break up and you guys kind of split ways just because you have a communication breakdown and you get back together really quick. That doesn't count. When things get bad enough and you actually break up for real, okay, people put their walls up and that's going to last for a certain period of time. So what's going to happen in reality is that you and your ex are going to reconnect through small talk or through some little gesture, some little opener, whether they come to you or you go to them, okay? And it's going to start off slowly from there. Now, it's really important that you internalize the principles of attraction because if you don't know what you're doing, that slow kind of small talk behavior that happens between you and your ex, it can really be boring and it can fizzle out. You attract each other at one point, and sometimes it could just be from a perfect storm of doing the right things that you weren't even aware of. But the second time around, it's not guaranteed to happen that way because circumstances have changed. Okay, so you really have to know what you're doing in terms of the way that you're talking to them, the amount that you're talking to them, etc. But at the end of the day, all you need is access to them. You need to understand the principles of attraction and you need access to them because you're going to slide in these little ways and it's going to start from there. So with enough time, you will have access to your ex once again. If you doubt that, I want you to visualize the scenario where you and your ex bump into each other in the grocery store 50 or 60 years from now, after you each have separate families, you've had all these kids and have completely different lives. Can you imagine them picking up their cane and like shaking at you and saying, get out of here, buddy. Like this town isn't big enough for the both of us. And I told you 50 years ago that I was done forever. And I don't even want to say hello to you. It's not going to be that way. So if we can establish that principle that time fixes everything by using that extreme example, now you can kind of sort of come to grips with this idea that you will have another shot, but you need to wait enough time to slide in this little way later once the amount of time has passed. So I realize I'm being sort of vague here, and that's simply because there's a lot of principles of attraction to go over, which I can help you. If you click into my profile up there, click this link right here and set up a call with me. There's actually a video about it right here. And when you set up that call, I'm going to hear your whole story, and I'll give you exactly step-by-step what to do to get your ex back.